Uh, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Soak this music in for just a second. Just a second. You're still in the fight, baby. You're still in the fight. Hang on. That's that energy coming back. Not giving up, baby. You're not giving up. So, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about today, man. A lot of stuff I want to talk about today. But the biggest thing I want to talk about right now is this gun control push that's happening that we see from our elected officials right now, where Biden is asking Congress to get some gun control going. And of course, they're saying it's because we want to protect our kids, we want to protect our schools, and we don't need to wait for another bad thing to happen for us to finally recognize that we need to ban assault weapons, high-capacity magazines, and we need to incriminate the manufacturers of any weapons that have been used for these war in our streets that Biden is basically saying. Right. Well, here's the problem with all of that, right? The conservative mindset is not that we love shooting guns so much and we love carrying guns and playing around with guns and whatever, that we are just unwilling and we are just not willing to give up our fun to save a few lives. And that's always the way the argument's formulated, right? That's the way it's portrayed. The real argument is that the founders of the country throughout history have said large governments with too much control have created mass genocides so many times that it is better to suffer a little bit of evil to make sure that we don't end in control of a large evil, basically. So the conservatives today are not thinking that like it's wonderful that school shootings happen. They're thinking that it's really bad when it's not just a school shooting and they line up hundreds of thousands of people who don't have the same political ideology as them and kill them all at once because there's no way that people can defend themselves. Now, that might sound far-fetched to you. That might sound like an idea that's absolutely ridiculous for anybody to even consider, unless you've read history and have realized that that's happened quite consistently throughout history. Generally, it's after a population has had their guns taken, right? Whether it's China with Mao, whether it's Hitler with Germans, whatever. We can go through so many examples throughout history where millions and millions of people have been killed after they've been de-armed, right? So the question then becomes, what do we do? What do we do then? Well, right now, they've already basically banned conservatives from large portions of big tech. Now, everybody's like, well, that's not the government doing that. That's private business. I understand that. But you have to come out of the circle of naivete that comes sometimes where your own brain tells you that, well, that's not the government doing it. That's just 7 of the largest companies that control all of the flow of information to the American people, who happen to have the exact ideology as half of the government officials. Those two are connected. And they happen to be pushing the ideology that also comes from China. So here's the deal. We have to start thinking about that kind of stuff when you guys are just blindly walking through these weird things that are happening where we're cutting off our own oil, the Keystone Pipeline, one of the things that gave us energy independence. And you can say it's because it felt wrong to take things from the Native Americans. And so we're just giving back some of the land, and there's a little bit of oil spills that are happening left and right with that. And man, that's so bad. Listen, unless you don't know how evil other countries can be and how important it is for us to stay on top right now, then you'll be thinking the way that you think. Meanwhile, by the way, all of these things that everybody are thinking are problems that only 1% of the 1% can care about. I look at even the Black Lives Matter movement as a whole, and feeling like they've been definitely thrown into a terrible situation, and how it's so tough here or whatever for black individuals or for people of color. I hear that, okay? I'm hearing you. Compared to what, though? Specifically, compared to what? Do you know that if you make $34,000 annually, that you are in the top 1% of global income earners? So that means that the arguments that are happening right now, if we could put it in a metaphor, would be that a man with no shoes and no shirt and no food is walking by, and he sees two Americans arguing over which color Bentley they were able to aspire to being able to purchase at the store. That's the level of like the whole world is supposed to crumble because the people who are all capable of earning $34,000 a year and being in the top 1% are mad because they felt disadvantaged. Compared to what? Now, I'm white, so I'm technically not allowed to say that. But, like, okay, then paint me whatever color you want to and then debate my argument. So I just don't think that it's wise to be thinking that depending on your skin color is when we should be addressing people's arguments or not. So that's just a bad idea, even according to Martin Luther. Which I guess he's not really popular anymore because he wasn't Marxist or radical enough. But so anyway, the argument about gun control is not that all of these people are saying that we need to continue being selfish and allow our fun at the cost of helpless, innocent lives. No, we're saying we would like to protect ourselves and protect others so there's not a cost of significantly more innocent lives, because that seems to have happened throughout history consistently, right? So that's the gun control argument, not we don't care about people, right? And so when they frame it that way and nobody does any research, that's the easiest conclusion to come to, is that people on the right are just, selfish conservative buttholes. But let's go to the next thing. So assault weapons, right? So this is just for people who don't know. Assault weapons generally, forget that word, that phrase, assault weapons, and let's talk about what you're really talking about. Okay, so there's automatic firearms where you pull the trigger, and as you're pulling the trigger, the bullets go bop, 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 and they shoot consistently. Some of them are faster, and some of them are slower, whatever. Those are called machine guns, fully automatic. They have been outlawed for some time in the United States, like 20, 30 years, maybe more. So that's not what people are talking about with these assault weapons. What they're talking about is guns that look scary. So how do most weapons function in the United States? Most weapons, every single one of the guns that Americans have, all generally shoot the same way. You have the old Western style revolver, barrel, barrel, barrel. Well, that's single shot. And then you have semi-automatic. Semi-automatic means that you don't have to pull a hammer back and then pull the trigger every time like a revolver, but that every time you pull the trigger, one bullet goes out. That's how almost every single handgun has been for the last 40 years. That's how almost every single assault rifle, quote unquote, has been made for the last 30, 40 years as well. Military weapons, weapons of war, as Biden would say, are guns that generally shoot a bunch at one time. Ours don't do that. Ours generally just shoot one at one time. So if the debate is that they're going to somehow, if those are taken away, decrease all of these unwanted deaths that are happening in the United States, well, let's talk about how many that would really be. Assault weapons have nothing to do with the large amount of gun violence that happens in the U.S. The largest amount of gun violence that happens in the U.S. is just pistols. It's handguns, drive-bys, all that kind of stuff, handguns. And it's not even the big calibers. It's mostly 22. Right, but so they're not even really going after the important things here. They're going after the unimportant things because it's not about the guns. It has nothing to do with the actual functional implications of the law that's being put forward and whether that's going to stop crime or not, because it's not about that, right? And that's the thing. Everybody doesn't understand that this is a bigger thing than just Americans trying to hold on to their rights, or a government that's really concerned about the people, and there's a certain group in the people that just won't let go of their guns. That's not what's happening, right? That has nothing to do with what's really occurring. What's really occurring is that they're attempting to weaken the United States. Now, when I say they, I'd love to be specific, and I'd love for you to ask me 1,000 questions, because we can go on for this for 3 hours if you want. And I can give you the specifics about how what has been voted on has not helped the American people almost at all in lots of scenarios. Like, guys, if you're wondering if your government's really for you or not, look at the stimulus packages that are coming out. Is the government bending over backwards to help Americans, or is it bending over backwards to do something else with a lot of this money? Okay, so then maybe we can throw it in our realm of understanding that perhaps some of the stuff that's being pushed is not really for our benefit. Me on the right, you on the left, whatever. And I'm not even a Republican. I'm a conservative libertarian. I don't care about. I thought Bush was corrupt as I think the Clinton was corrupt, as I think that Biden is corrupt, as I think that Obama was corrupt. I think Trump probably has some pockets of corruption that are in there somewhere. I don't know what they are. I don't think they're a big deal if they are, because he couldn't be bought. You know, a lot of that, like if you look at people's net worth before they go into office and after they leave office, a lot of people get rich. Trump didn't. Anyway, so all this to say, look, gun control this is going to cause a massive problem in the United States if they attempt to enact these things that Biden is asking for. He's already done 50 basically executive orders in the first month or two that he's been in office. And that's more than any president in history by, I think like 30. I think he's 30 over what the other ones have done, which means like more than 4 times the amount of the others, which anyway, man, I'm exhausted, guys. I'm exhausted from having to care about all this stuff so much. I'm exhausted from trying to explain to people what's really been going on. And not that I have some secret knowledge. You can have the knowledge too. You just have to pay attention and actually just try to connect dots a little bit and go, you know, if China wanted to control the country, how would they accomplish that? And then you look and they go, oh, they probably try to own everybody's influence. You know, whose influence is most important? Well, people everybody follows. Okay, so Hollywood? Yeah. Okay, who else? Probably some lawmakers? Yeah. Maybe they'd fund the lawmakers? Yeah. Maybe they'd try to get the media? Yeah. Maybe they'd media, the DNC, Hollywood, Google, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all have the same exact political ideology somehow, and that happens just randomly? No. People are using the same kind of concepts that China uses right now to socially control their people. They're using the same ones here, just on a lesser scale because it hasn't been like legalized basically yet. It's not normal for your phone to tell you you're not allowed to leave the house and stuff yet. Anyway, I wanted to get on here and just kind of explain that for a little bit. I thought I'd give you guys some music and some fun. But I'll let you have a little of that on the way out. All right, folks. God bless. Y'all have a good day. Stay safe.